Right, so I have put a shirt on especially for this video. So, on September the 10th, so right back in the summer last year, I made my Premier League predictions video. Things were a lot different back then, at the start of the season. We're now 8 months on, and the Premier League has now finished. It finished today on May the 23rd, and I'm going to review my predictions in this video to see how close I actually was 8 months ago. Right, so in first place was Man City, and I said Man City would be first. To me, this was fairly obvious just because they just have the best team. They've spent the most money and have the best players. It's fairly simple. Some people said Liverpool, but teams do struggle to retain the title. And I thought Man City's squad depth would help them win. Because if Man City played their B team in basically every game, then I still reckon they'd win the league. Like, that's how good squad depth they have. Because if you look at their striker, who's even their main striker? Sometimes they don't even play with one. But Aguero and Jesus, both of them are good enough to lead the line in a title-winning team, in my opinion. They've got De Bruyne and Foden both at cam. Both of them would start in a league-winning team. So yeah, I can't beat myself up too much for guessing that. Obviously, Liverpool did have centre-back issues. If Liverpool had Van Dijk and Gomez, would they be able to win the title? I'd say probably not, because that's how good Man City were this year. They might have come second and given them a run for their money, but it wasn't to be for them. Right, so in second place was Man United. Now, I said Man United would finish 6th, so that's a poor one for me. I just didn't think Solskjaer would be able to keep up the lucky form that Man United are going through, because I've always said he's not a very good manager, and I still stand by that. I just think he has incredible players that save him every single time. I just thought this season would be the season where kind of he gets sussed out a bit as a bad manager, but no, it wasn't to be, and they're second. They have had a lot of help from Bruno Fernandes and VAR though. These are maybe factors I didn't consider. Obviously, Bruno did join them last season, but we only saw him for half a season, so he wasn't as big a player then as he was now. He has been influential. I think they would actually finish 6th. I'm not just saying this to defend my prediction, but if it wasn't for Fernandes, I reckon they would finish 6th. Something big is that he scores basically every penalty, and he's really good on free kicks as well. If they didn't have, a good penalty taker who scores I think he's only missed one for them, would they finish that high up? Because penalties have won them games a lot of times. Right, so in third place in the actual Premier League table was Liverpool. I said they would be third, so that's a good one from me. For some reason, I put Chelsea above them when I did my table. So I put Chelsea would finish second and Liverpool would finish third. I didn't think Liverpool would finish third because they'd be bad. I just thought, Chelsea would be better. But yeah, I did manage to get that one right. Now, in the actual table, Chelsea finished 4th, and I said they would finish 2nd. Now, this was at the start of the season when there was loads of hype about Werner. Werner's not actually been too bad for me. I feel like for a first season, he's been decent, because I saw a stat at one point saying he had the most, it was 10 games before the end of the season, I don't know whether it's still true, saying that he had the most goal contributions in the Chelsea team. So even though he does miss a lot of easy chances and he does get caught offside a lot, he is still valuable to the team. He's probably not been as good as I thought when I predicted that they'd finish second. It's kind of been the same with Kai Havertz and Ziyech. They've been good, but they've not really, set the world alight like I thought they would, like most people thought they would. Havertz, I think he did get COVID towards the start of the season, and he had long-term effects, so that's obviously put him back. But yeah, I didn't expect them to, change their manager and Thomas Tuchel to come in and do really well. I thought Van Lampard would be a long-term manager, but there we go. So overall, it's going well so far between the actual table and my predictions. I got 3 of the top 4 correct. It was just, I predicted, the only difference was Right, this is embarrassing. I predicted Everton would finish in the top four, and Man United did instead. So in fifth place was Leicester. Now I predicted they'd finish 10th. I don't really know why. I don't really remember why I predicted they'd finish that far down. I guess I don't know. I guess they've lost a lot of their big players recently, and I just thought it would be like the season where they crumble. I don't actually know who did they lose last summer. I don't actually know who they lost. Was it didn't Didi leave? It might have been. I don't know. I don't remember. But yeah, I just thought they got a bit lucky last season to finish in the Europa League, and a similar thing would happen the season after they won the title, where they just completely flopped. But like some players did really well for them that I wasn't expecting. Like Ian Atcho did a lot better than I expected. Fafana as well. He did really well last season. So yeah, I'm happy that I like Leicester, so I'm happy that they exceeded my expectations. So in real life, West Ham finished sixth. Now I predicted they'd finish 13th. And I think I actually said in my video, I watched part of my video back, and I said, because everyone at the start of the season was predicting West Ham to go down, and I was saying, no, they have way too good a team to go down. They have some really, really good players, and like they're just not going to go down. And I was right, but they still exceeded even my expectations. They did really well. I thought like David Moyes after having a full season this season, I knew he would kind of sort them out and impose his playing style on them. But still, they have done really, really well. Their signings have really helped. Like Soucek has really helped. Lingard as well. He came in and was pretty good, let's say. So yeah, in seventh place, I said it would be Tottenham, and it actually was Tottenham. I I kind of knew Tottenham wouldn't finish in the top four. Like they're a bit of a stagnant club. Like they always kind of finish high, but never really get into the Europa League or the Champions League. You'll never really like do well in any cups. They did get to the Carabao Cup final, but they didn't win it. I just find like they're a nearly club. Like they're nearly there, but never get there. And I was right when I predicted them to finish seventh. So in eighth, in real life. That position was occupied by Arsenal, and I did actually predict this in my video. Um, yeah, I thought like Arsenal are a bit like Tottenham. Like you expect them or you want them to do well because they're technically classed as one of the big six, but they always kind of underachieve. I do rate Arteta as a manager, and I think they will start steadily moving their way up the table if they give him time. But I knew this season wouldn't be the season, and they do rely on young players a lot. And if you're playing like Saka's really good, like Smith Rowe, he's really good as well. Martinelli as well. They're all excellent players, but Arsenal do rely on them quite heavily, and young players aren't going to get you top four. As good as they are, like if you're playing them all the time, which Arteta does, he plays them a lot of the time, you're not getting higher up the table. So in real life, Leeds finished ninth. Now I predicted Leeds would finish 17th. They have really exceeded my expectations. Like I thought they would stay up, which is right. They did, but they did a lot better than I thought, and they beat some big teams as well, which I kind of thought they would. I kind of thought they'd have a surprise in them, but I didn't think they'd finish that high up. Right, so Everton finished 10th in real life. I predicted they'd finish 4th. I really did big Everton up in my video. And 10th isn't a fair representation of their season, I don't think. Because they were a lot higher up for the majority of the season. That's probably like the lowest they've been all season, I think. I just thought Ancelotti's a good manager. They made some good signings, and their signings were actually good. Like in real life, like Doucouré, Allen, who else? Rodriguez, I know he did get injured. But yeah, I can't believe they finished 10th in the end. Like, that's actually really low down. But yeah, I guess the teams above them were just better. They weren't necessarily that bad. Just the teams above them were better. I reckon next season, if fans are allowed back in full capacity, I reckon they will maybe not get top four, but Europa League at least, or whatever this UEFA conference is. I don't really know what it is. Because I found like when fans were in the ground, Everton did really well. I think they beat Chelsea when fans were allowed back in December. They also won a game towards the back end of the season with fans as well. Was that against Wolves? I think it might have been. And like I find like when they played at Goodison without fans, they didn't win. Like they went on like a 2-month streak without winning at Goodison. So I reckon, yeah, they will improve. If they get their home form sorted, which they should with fans, they will really improve. So Aston Villa, my team, finished 11th in real life. Now I predicted they'd finish 14th. So it's actually rare that like somebody predicting football predicts their team to do worse than they actually do. But we had a great season looking back. Like I am kind of disappointed we didn't get top half because we were in the top half for most of the season. But I guess our aim was to stay up, which we have done very, very, very convincingly. So I can't complain too much. And there's always next season when we can push on and get higher up. To be fair, Europa League would have just been ridiculous for Villa, like after almost going down in 17th place. I feel like our signing, I thought our signings would be good, but they were very, very, very good. That is what changed for me between last season and this season. Like Traore was immense. Watkins was really, really good. I thought he'd have a decent first season, but he has exceeded my expectations. Cash was really good. He was vital. Martinez, how should I not say Martinez? And I also find with Villa, the players that were there last season also played better. I'd say, even though he was injured for like half of it, Grealish had a great first half of the season. Oh, also Barkley as well. He was a bit inconsistent, but he had some good games, scored some winning goals against Southampton, against Liverpool. Even he's going back now to Chelsea, but he was definitely worth loaning. El Ghazi, I think, got better. He's got more clinical in front of goal. Who else? Trezeguet. Well, he. I think Trezeguet only scored 2 goals and both were against Fulham, but I feel like he did improve from last season. Like his work rate is really good. And he did get set back with the injury. Like I feel Louise was better, Nakamba was better, McGinn was better. I'd say Konza was a lot better. So yeah, that's what's changed. And I feel like the players are just a lot more confident. Like I think beating Liverpool at the start of the season really helped because the players knew they had the confidence to beat a big team. Because against the big teams last season, we just kind of sat back and it was inevitable they were going to score, and then they ended up getting like 4 in a game just because we were sitting back. We didn't really go for it. Now I feel like the players can go for it and feel able to. Like we've just beaten Chelsea 2-1 today. Like that wasn't happening last season. Like, and there was the first part of the game we were sitting back. There was a phase in the game when we were, and if that was last season, we would have just sat back the whole game and they would have won 4-0 because they would eventually break us down. But we went forward, scored twice, and yeah, we were actually in the game for large parts of it. So surprisingly, in real life, Newcastle finished 12th, and I predicted they'd finish 18th, so I actually said they'd go down. Now, 12th is so unrepresentative of their season. I had a good run towards the end, and that propelled them from, like, almost going down in, like, 17th to 12th. Like, loads of people thought Newcastle would do well because they, like, mid-table is well for them because they did the season before. And I was slightly controversial saying they'd go down, and all season it looked like they could. Like, I feel like a lot of people get that one right by chance just because they thought they'd be mid-table and they were. But, like, I was right on that one for the majority of the season. If I'd have done this video at any point during the season except from the end, I would have been pretty close with Newcastle. But yeah, I just think, like, their team came up from the Championship 3 or 4 seasons ago. And I just feel they haven't really improved it since. Like, the signing of Joe Willett really helped, but at the start of the season, I just felt their team was a Championship team, and their big signings since coming up, like Joe Linton and Almiron, weren't performing, and they're still not performing. But yeah, that's just why I thought they'd go down. So in real life, Wolves finished 13th. I'd say they'd finished 5th, so I was very, very, very far out on that one. Um, but they did. I think I made that video before they sold Jota to Liverpool, and obviously, Jimenez got injured as well for the large part of the season, and Traore didn't perform like he did last season. Um, and Fabio Silva, Jimenez's replacement, didn't really score many goals. Um, I feel like all their players just had worse seasons. Like Neves, he didn't really do much. Coutinho, I don't know if he got injured, but I didn't see his name popping up as much on like score sheets. Um, so yeah, it's been quite an underwhelming season for them. I thought they'd push on, but they've actually gone the opposite way. But they did lose their big players, so it is fair enough. So in 14th was Crystal Palace. In real life, I predicted they'd finish 16th, so similar. I knew they'd stay up because they always do. Hodgson has made them into a good, like, solid Premier League side. So yeah, I was fairly close on that one. Southampton finished 15th in real life. I said they'd finish 9th, and I remember they had a really good back end of last season, and I thought they'd continue that, but again, a bit like Wolves, their big players didn't perform. Like Danny Ings, for example, he was injured for quite a lot of the season. Not his fault, but um, yeah, I kind of thought he'd carry them a bit, but he hasn't. Um, Southampton are a weird team. Like they're really really good for part of the season, and they're really really bad for another part. Um, I reckon they can be happy with staying up, but it could have been so much more. Brighton finished 16th in real life. I had them down as 15th, so again quite close. I feel like Brighton. I feel like their team isn't very good. I feel like on paper, with their team, they would go down. But they've always had good managers, like Chris Hughton was a good manager, and Graham Potter's also a good manager. So I reckon that's the reason they stay up. Like Neil Maupay, I don't think he's Premier League quality. He gets a few goals here and there, but he's not Premier League quality. I don't think many of their team are Premier League quality. Like most of their team, I don't really know a lot about them. Like Pascal Gross, like he's good, but is he really a Premier League quality? Probably not, because he's not like scoring and assisting like one in every like 2 or 3 games. He just occasionally pops up, and I feel like most of their team just occasionally pop up. Um, I feel like Brighton will go down eventually. I feel like it's been like what 4 or 5 seasons now, and they've just stayed up. I feel like the bubble will burst soon, and they will go down, because that was like Villa. Um, until we actually, before we had that terrible season when we were 20th, we were like flirting with relegation, just staying above the relegation zone for a lot of seasons. It eventually went wrong. I feel like that will happen with Brighton unless they invest in like quality players. Um, 17th was Burnley in real life. I actually put they'd finish 11th, which was very wrong of me. It's good they stayed up, but I feel like with Burnley they should be aiming for mid-table. I know they don't spend a lot of money, but I feel like Barnes was quiet this season, but I feel like Barnes and Wood could be an excellent strike force, and they could make them mid-table. They are also solid at the back, so I reckon they'd be disappointed with 17th. Um, Fulham finished 18th in real life. I had them as 19th. It was always going to be a struggle for them. Most of their players are on loan. I don't know why they didn't play Mitrovic more, because he's a great striker. Um, yeah, they had quite a lot of young players, and I felt like they didn't really gel together that well, just because they were all coming in on loan from different places. I rate Scott Parker as a manager. I just reckon his team wasn't good enough. Like he did the best he could with his team, um, but they didn't have a good team. West Brom finished 19th in real life. I had them down as 20th. Again, like Fulham, their team's just a championship team. Like they played well in some games, but their team's just not good enough. Like you can't like fault the effort of the players in any of the teams that go down. Sometimes like they just give up and didn't play well, but I just felt like they just didn't have enough. Sheffield United finished 20th in real life. I actually had them down as 12th, and I don't think anyone at the start of the season saw Sheffield United going down. Um, they nearly got Europa League the season before, and I kind of knew they would drop off because they don't have that big a squad, and they're using a lot of the same players that played for them in League One. I think last season was a bit of a freak season, but I didn't expect them to go down as much as they have done. Um, but yeah, they did. And honestly, I predicted Sheffield United to finish 20th the season they got Europa League, so they are quite an unpredictable team. Right, so that does it for now. I'm going to put on screen now my prediction and the actual table, just so you can compare. And yeah, that will be all. So thank you for watching. Hopefully I will upload again soon, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye.